Starting by using a small ring light in front of us, and it looks very good, but the autofocus can cause absolute carnage if you move around, with it constantly trying to recalibrate itself. The colours are looking very good, but we do have a fisheye effect with the sides of the picture bending inwards. Using just natural light, and again it's not bad, but any kind of movement makes the autofocus go crazy, so if you're sitting in a static position, then it should work quite well, but we'll show you more on that shortly. We then had an alert in Razer Synapse that there is a new firmware available which is supposed to help with focus if the scene is too bright. We ran the tests again and found that it did seem to improve things a little, but it doesn't completely eliminate the recalibrating of the focus. The image quality does seem to be the same with the new firmware. Using it in a dark room wasn't the best experience, with it looking quite grainy. This was using our laptop though, and when we moved over to our desktop PC with a couple of extra screens, the light from those monitors really did improve the final image. Focusing on a small object performed quite well. It does take a second or two for it to adjust, but it does do the job if you need to put objects close to the lens. Using large ring lights in front of us, and we are really impressed with how it's handling the exposure, and our face is looking crisp, apart from when the dreaded autofocus kicks in and blurs us out. We switched on a coloured backlight and noticed that the colours began to go a little crazy, with the saturation on our face changing. Going into the settings and manually configuring the white balance does seem to resolve this, but we couldn't quite get those colours to look as good as the auto settings. Removing our green screen using OBS resulted in a very good final result, so if your lighting setup is on point, then you should have no issues with a green screen. This is a microphone test using the Razer Kiyo Pro. This is the kind of audio you can expect from the inbuilt microphone. If you're finding that the autofocus is causing too much chaos, then you can manually configure it in OBS or Razer Synapse to prevent it from blurring your image. The field of view can be altered in Razer Synapse with the option of a narrow 80 degrees, the medium option of 90 degrees, or the wide setting of 103 degrees, and this will show more of your background environment. But the more narrow the field of view, the less warping you will have on the sides of the image. The HDR option can only be enabled in Synapse, and this will limit your frame rate to 30 frames per second when in use, but it should help with any under or overexposure issues. Passive or responsive autofocus can be chosen, with the responsive being, well, maybe too responsive. The whole unit can be mounted onto a tripod, or the head can be removed from the base and just mounted instead. The head on this is huge and it looks very much like a camera lens, so it is quite a beefy unit. It connects via USB-C on the back of the head using its included removable USB-C to USB-A cable. It's not quite the clarity of a mirrorless camera, but in the webcam world this performs really well as long as you disable the autofocus.